everyone. I'm going to do the video for my Android application that I am calling Self. So basically what this application does is it allows the user to keep a journal via the Self application, which is designed to help users write their thoughts and what they're grateful for and do a self-reflection. So I basically did this by utilizing simple layouts for creating a journal entry, which contains a title and post description and an image. And then once the user creates multiple journal entries, then the activity list will allow the user to see their post and self-reflect. So some of the advanced features in this application are a real-time database that is called Firebase. So this keeps the data in sync through the application with real-time listeners. It also offers offline support so that the application can work without internet connectivity. I've integrated this into a cloud-based storage using Firestore. So there's also an authentication feature implemented, which I'll go through in a little bit, which passes the user's email and password. In addition to this, the application can access the user's mobile device for images through the use of their gallery or stored photos. This is my technical documentation over here that you can read, but I am actually going to just jump into my application. So unfortunately, due to an error down over here, I am unable to actually show this application functioning. I will cover this near the end as to why this error is not resolved. So I'm going to jump right into it. So for the Android application setup, the first step was to create this project, was to connect to Firebase. And basically, if you go to Tools and you go to Firebase here, this opens up the assistant for Firebase, and as soon as you connect to Firebase, you can pretty much click these arrows and log in analytics event, do email and password authentication, and create cloud storage. The details of these are going to be, again, in the technical documentation. Also, by visiting the console.firebase.google.com over here, you can set up the back end for usage. So the details for that are also in the documentation. So the main screen of my user interface, since I don't have an application to demo, I'm actually just going to do it through Android Studio. That way there is something for you to see. So basically over here, this is the main page. When a user first enters the application, this is what they will see. The way that this is designed is the user can click this Get Started button, and this will connect them to, let me just go on over here. So this will connect them to the login page, which I will show you in a second. So the code for that is from lines 18 to 26, which is right here. So the way that this works is basically the button is linked to the layout file, and the layout file is this one right here, the activity_main.xml file. And then with the use of intent, I have that right here. It basically is set on an on-click listener. So as soon as this button is clicked, you will go onto the login activity. So I'm going to close both of these and go ahead and open up the next one, which is the login activity, and the layout file for this is activity login. So once you go to the login page, this is basically what you see right over here. So it contains text boxes right over here for the user to input their email and their password. Over here you have two buttons, one for login and one for create account, and each is set to navigate you to actually the same page, which is going to be the post general page. So the login activity Java file, the way this is set up is it performs authentication that the user has already created an account, and this occurs by the code that connects to Firebase and then finds the email and the password, which is in lines 65 through 75, right over here. So basically, after this is done, once again, this will navigate you to, let me see here. Right, so once the authentication is done, it will lead you to the post journal page. Also, if the user clicks login, the same thing will happen. They will also be navigated to the post journal page, assuming that they were authenticated and already in the database as a user. So I'm gonna close this one and go to the create account page. So that is the class file, and here is the layout. So the create account page, the way that this page is set up is, as you can see, there's 3 text boxes here prompting the user to enter their username, email, and password, followed by a create account button. So the way that this is set up is, again, like I was saying before, the create account button is set on a click listener. So it starts activity from the login activity file to create account activity class, which is this one over here, this file. And that's basically kind of the flow of this. It enables the user to click the create account button and then go to the create account page. The create account page being this right here. So this file is set to create this file right here, the Java file. So that's set to create a user map so that the user is stored in the user collection, and then there is a code for saving the collection to the Firestore database. And then finally, it ends with the user being navigated to the post journal page after the account is created. And all of this code can actually be seen from lines 111 to 148. A lot of code to get this part working, but there it is. So the other part of this is also setting up create account with Firebase. I actually, in the technical documentation, I broke this off with an indent, so you can kind of see it if you open up the documentation, and I broke the chunks of code down, letting you know exactly in which lines which part was completed, and then how the user authentication is completed, and how the user object is put inside of the database, and how the user adds a journal entry. Again, explained through exactly which lines will have that code. It is a lot of detail, so I'm not putting that much detail in the video. But what I do want to do is show you if this application was functioning, then I could have showed you kind of like the real-time database, but since it is not functioning, I'm just gonna go to the console real quick to kind of show you the way it works. So basically going back to the main activity layout. So if the app was functioning, basically at this point I would click get started. This would lead me to the login page, at which point I cannot log in because I'm a first-time user and I would have to actually create an account. So I would click create account, which would then lead me to my next page, which would be this one right here, where I would put in my username, email, and password. And I've kind of included a little test in the technical documentation, so you can follow along as well. But my username would be Fiza, the email would be fzaman6505@gmail.com, and the password would just be password. After creating the account, this is where this database over here should show me in the users. So the users is the collection that would be created, and it will show a user ID, which is automatically generated, and my username. Also, in authentication, it should show my email address, and there should be a password in here as well. So basically, this is showing that real-time database, assuming the application was working and I was able to actually do this demonstration. So after this whole thing is done and my account is created, I will be actually going straight to the post journal page. So I'm going to close all of these and go to the post journal files. So this file pretty much has, I would say, the most going on, and for that reason I won't dive into it too much, but again, the technical documentation that I included with this has a very nice breakdown in case you are curious and want to see exactly, where the functionality is, and it has all the lines over here. I'll kind of briefly go through it. So the design of this is basically, this is the post journal page. The way I have designed it is if you were the user, your name would pop up right here. And then over here, it would just give you, the date. Either it will say today or it'll give you the date. The reasoning behind this is I wanted to also have an activity list page, and the user is able to interact with their post by clicking it and going back and revisiting it. So hence why the date would be useful. The title and the thoughts are the next thing. So all of this was created in a design mode, not text mode. That's why I included a picture of this in the technical documentation as well, kind of just highlighting what was created. And the thought behind this was I wanted to have an image icon right here so that the user can go to their phone and add an image from their gallery or the photos. Also, I wanted to have a progress bar so the user knows something is happening. They don't think, the app isn't working. And then also the button is just simple and straightforward to save the post. The post journal activity file. So this is connected again to Firestore. The way this works is that the image is passed right into the database, and this will actually be seen in the storage. Unfortunately, I was not able to set up this part. I didn't test the application here, so I don't have the image in the database to actually show you, but if I had, it would have been over here. So the infrastructure for that is kind of divided up between lines 57, 58, and then 136 to 138. So I also included some comments as well. So if there is something that I forgot to put in the technical documentation, you'll see throughout the files, I have comments. So this is where I'm setting up a connection to Firestore, and then from 136 to 138. This is referencing the storage reference, and this is how the images will be stored. Also, there's code for saving the journal entry from lines 114 to 115, and then line 126 to 128. Part of that is right here. Again, I don't want to go through this in too much detail since it's in the documentation, and there's also code for getting the image from the gallery or phone. So at this point, a journal activity can be created after creating an account. So this takes me to the journal activity list page, and unfortunately this was actually where my project stopped since I kind of hit the issue. So journal list activity is right over here. This I can't really show anything since the app was not functioning. I did not have any posts to create, hence there's nothing to really see over here, but what it should have looked like is you should have seen all the posts that one user created, and they should be able to scroll through it, click it, interact with it, edit it, so on and forth. The code is all there for that functionality. It's just because I had a few errors, I was unable to actually get the application up and running in the emulator. So on the high level side, there's queries for the collection reference from lines 103 to 113. And then also I have a recycler view, which is being invoked from lines 116 to 124. I also added menu icons to the list activity, which is actually also under right here. So it is under res, and I created a new package called menu, and that's this file right here. So basically this has two buttons that it's an add button and a sign up button. Both of these would work if the app was running. So basically what happened is, due to an error in the journal recycler adapter file, which is right over here, I could not really finish the project. And the reasoning behind this is that it's saying that this journal row layout does not exist. However, it does right over here. I did try various solutions, and all of this is again documented. Also, all of these variables will not work, which are also contained in this file, because I can't figure out how to link it. But the technical documentation covers this in detail. Thank you.